Moving on to logic-driven magic. I really, really like that phrase, logic-driven magic. We have a huge challenge today with more channels and platforms to use for communication than ever. We've heard a lot about that during these 2 days. Divya Ostwal, thick data strategist at Malmö, will show us how we can use consumer behavior patterns in order to build a successful brand, and how to use logic to create magic. Welcome, Divya Ostwal.
If I jump, will it echo from an
Thank you, Katarina. Thank you, Webbdagarna, for having me, and Tjena Malmö. Yes, my name is Divya Ostwal, and I'm a digital communication strategist with thick data being my core, and I'm going to share a lot more about creating valuable communication with you all today. This is where I come from, this crazy country, India. I've spent most of my life in a city called Bangalore, which is the south of India. To those of you who are not familiar with Bangalore, Bangalore is also known as the Silicon Valley of India. The last 5 years, I've lived in Sweden, and I think that my favorite topic to discuss with people now is about the weather. Yes, on my free time, I also do photography. I like it for 2 reasons. One, I'm able to actually reach out and connect with the real world. And of course, photography is something that's core to me. I share a lot of pictures on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me at Divya Ostwal. I'm going to talk a lot about importance of creating value. As marketeers and brands today, I think it's very essential for us to reach out to our target audience and to create relevant communication that stands out there. I will also move in to share a few examples, talk a bit about the process that I apply at work, and of course, I am going to leave a few takeaways for you. Let's start with understanding why should we create important communication, valuable communication. We're all aware of the exponential technology advances. What does this mean? We started off with accessing information, simple information via websites. We moved rapidly towards being connected, which means that we now had various devices, multiple channels. That only meant we needed to have responsive websites, for example, have communication on all our channels, social channels, so have omni-channel presence. We then moved towards wearing sensors, which means that we allowed brands to follow us. We gave them we let them track us. What did this mean? Messaging, like we all know, has become extremely fragmented and very, very short-lived. And therefore, our attention spans have also reduced really drastically. We all are aware that today, geo-targeted messages are thrown at us based on what is assumed of us. If you're Foursquare users, you very much know that when I'm in a new city, Foursquare recommends to me a restaurant based on my previous check-ins. It would tell me, Divya, you're in London, and maybe you like Indian food, so you should go here. But, well, I'm in mood for something else. Foursquare doesn't realize that. Brands are facing increased competition. Of course, everybody needs to stand out, say what they're doing, share their why. And with today, real-time mobile access to data, we're thrown notifications, social ads, we're bombarded with this messaging. Last but not the least, I have one more. Loss in information monopoly. Brands are moving towards two-way communication. So it's not anymore about them saying who they are. With AI and VR, we are all aware now that we're moving towards experiencing something even before we actually experience it. So what does this mean? As marketeers and brands, we need to create visible and audible communication. We need to create communication that's relevant and we can reach out our target audience. Let me give you an example. We all access emails. Every single day, we're bombarded with messages. We have emails which are marked as FYI, for your information, some that are marked with for your attention. We have emails from or promotions, social emails, client emails. There's a lot of information that we're bombarded with. I actually fear even skipping or missing reading my emails a single day because the next day I would have double the information. Don't we all feel that it's getting harder to find valuable communication? Ironically, the other day, my husband, he came home tired and he said to me, wow, there's so much messaging out there, it tires me. But one place where I actually find valuable communication is in my email junk box. And I was like, what? Yes, he said, in his email junk box, he had 10 banks offering him a loan. For no reason, he had won 10,000 GBP and 50,000 USD. Well, 3 universities were offering him a degree, and this beats it. Tina, Maria, and Stina were lonely and wanted to spend time with him. Welcome to the future. We're getting valuable communication there. So, what do we do? What needs to be done? I think I'm going to share with you how, during my, I think, over a decade's experience with agency, what have I done? What kind of processes have I applied to tackle this issue? And I'll share with you a few examples. I think what's most critical is to know your consumers. Of course, everybody says this, knowing your consumers is really important. How do you do this? Or how do I do this? I apply what I call thick data. To those of you who just said, oh no, another talk about big data, let's leave the room, stay put. I'm not going to talk about big data. Thick data is not big data, so I wanted to really start with that. Big data, let's start with understanding what big data is so we can keep it aside. Big data is quantitative data with enormous data sets. Big data also delivers numbers. We all know that it will lead you to believe that 2 people out of 5 like this, for example. And big data hugely relies on machine learning. But what is thick data? Thick data is a powerful combination between quantitative and qualitative data. It's a very successful marriage. Thick data can be analyzed using human brain power and does not need computational power. Woohoo! My favorite, thick data delivers stories. And thick data relies on human learning. It is us who's connecting the dots and finding patterns and insights that we can apply in our work. To go a bit deeper, thick data is a combination of qualitative and quantitative data, like I said. I just want to explain quickly what qualitative data includes. Qualitative data basically is really understanding your consumers' everyday behavior. It is also understanding the relationship between them, your competition, or the brand itself. So you really want to understand that relationship. Of course, qualitative data is very emotional, versus quantitative data is identifying a customer, labeling that customer, grouping those customers, and finally understanding their buying habits. What quantitative data leads you towards is understanding engagement, retention or loyalty, conversion, and leads. Of course, this is very rational. So for me, thick data is a fantastic combination of these 2 parts. Let me give you an example. I'll take you back a few years in my career, or at least a decade. Back in Asia, I had a client that we worked with, and it was a healthcare client. And the client really wanted us to give, they had an objective. They wanted us to give them 1 booking via the web from US and Europe, which means 365 bookings to the healthcare via the web. That was their brief. We started off with applying thick data. That's where I really understood the importance of logic-driven magic. What we did was we went out to prospective customers, existing patients, and tried to understand from them, why would they make this trip to Asia? Why is going to Asia becoming such a popular thing to get treatment done? What we understood from them was 3 clear insights. 1, medical tourism was becoming very popular in Asia. Yes, medical tourism is a term, to those of you who are not aware. Medical tourism is when patients decide to combine their treatment with a holiday, and they chose Asia for that. Second, many people have the connotation that healthcare is similar to hospitality, which means that they were expecting very warm and happy doctors. They were expecting really helpful and service-oriented nurses. And third, I think, which was really interesting, was they wanted to experience the healthcare even before they were actually there. What does that mean? They wanted to see visuals of large, well-equipped surgery rooms. They wanted to see visuals of corridors of the healthcare. They wanted to experience who these doctors were. What were they going to do with me when I went there? So they wanted to see and visualize and feel all of this even before they actually came to Asia for their treatment. What we did was, using this data, we created a web platform. And like Matt said earlier today, we created empathetic applications. We created videos, we created rich media tools that communicated all of these 3 insights and put it up there. What was amazing was within 6 months, we had 6,000 real bookings from abroad, and it didn't stop there. Thick data goes into playing a bigger role. What you do is, once the solution is out and live, you would actually analyze the behavior of your users and tweak the solution to be able to give them a better offering. So thick data really is a continuous process. I'll give you a few more recent examples here with me. This is a more global example. I guess all of you are aware of Uber. Uber is click the app to get a cab service. Uber created a standalone app called Uber Eats. What Uber Eats does is it lets you book or order food just the way you would order a cab, quickly and efficiently. Now, Uber completely created a different service. How did they do that? They went out and interviewed over 50 eaters, and then they found out that 2 things again. People who order food have a bigger challenge. The challenge is to decide, what should I eat? And second, when they spoke to their Uber users, they identified a moment that matters to their audience, which is food. Many of them who took Uber cab service took it to either meet friends over dinner, or they were catching up for client meetings for lunch, or they were going out for family brunches. So a lot was happening around food. So they used these 2 insights and created a standalone service. So brands can actually use thick data to create a unique service. I'll give you a closer to home example. We're all, I'm guessing, are aware of Hovding. Hovding is one of my favorite brands. I've been working with it for a while now. Hovding, we've been helping them with conversion optimization, which means that we continuously monitor their channels and see how we can improve them so they can meet their business goals. What do we do for Hovding? We applied thick data, both qualitative and quantitative data. And 2 insights. One from qualitative data was that when users went onto the website, they did not get the clear message of the functionality of the product. What does this product do? Many of them who came to the website thought it was a fashiony website, a good-looking model, and they did not see a purpose of hanging around there. Quantitative data on the other side led us to understand that most users who came onto the site went up to the how it works section, which means that they wanted to know, how does it work? Does it pop? Will it pop twice? How does it work? What is the functionality of the product? Using this very simple insight, what we then did was we created a small video. That's it. We put this video up on the website, on the homepage. Within 6 months, we saw the bounce rate on the website went down 12%. Bounce rate is when users land and leave your website because they did not maybe find relevant information. That went down by 12%. Transactions went up by 59%. Music to the client's ears. And of course, e-commerce conversion rate went up by 109%. Let me share another example with you, Sony. We do at Cannes a lot of work for Sony, ranging from strategy, concept, ideation, design, and of course, conversion optimization. For Sony, the client usually sets annual goals, business goals that we need to meet. And I'm going to share only about one part of what we do, which is creating campaigns. We create campaigns to help Sony reach their goals. And one of the campaigns that we did was a Black Friday Cyber Monday campaign, which runs for less than a week, I would say. How did we create this campaign? Why did we create this campaign? We saw, using Google search trends, that shopping trend was going up during this period, which meant that users were interested in looking for deals. When users are looking for deals, it's not really easy to create deals. It means that you need to combine valuable products with generous discounts, and it's a good amount of homework, I would say. So you create those deals, and of course, it's another behavior that we cited. Shoppers on the Sony site do not buy when they're on the site for the first time. They would typically buy as returning users, which means that they would access your information from various channels and then end up buying, which means that you needed to have communication amplified on omni-channel. You needed to have a presence on all the channels. And mind you, there was no paid business here. It was completely organic. When we compared the period of the campaign to the previous period, the sessions in the shop went up by 44%. And let me tell you, this is very important because we are, remember, meeting a bigger goal that we have in mind. The transactions went up 133%, and the e-commerce conversion rate went up by 62%. This, for me, is logic-driven magic. When you really understand what your customers' goals are, and you try and work towards that. And you know what the best part is? The team that you work with love it. They enjoy the process. They believe in the process much more. The client trusts you. And of course, I think it's been ages since I heard the word, oh, pretty design. No, that doesn't exist. Quickly, some of the tools. I won't go deeper, but of course, you could use a combination of doing one-on-one qualitative interviews to applying a lot of insights from Facebook IQ. They gather insights from behavior patterns on Facebook, and they put up stats here. Quick takeaways. I always apply a methodology when I work, and I call the methodology a TENCO, which basically means that when you add value for your customers, you put them through 3 stages. You attract for them relevant audience, you engage those audience, and you convert them. And when you remember a TENCO, I'm telling you, you will always remember to apply thick data. It's very easy. You know where to apply it. So remember the TENCO methodology. Another key takeaway here is agility is important. What you do is you set a higher goal for your audience, create a messaging, and then listen. Listen how your audience is behaving, use those insights, be proactive, and create better actions. So that's what you do. You always create actions to be able to reach a goal that you have in mind. So yes, agility is really important. I think I'll leave you with a very philosophical slide. For me, I think anything you do should be treated like a process and not a project. In order for us to create trust and lasting client impression, I think treating what you do as a process is really important. There is no end to what you do. It's always improving what you do. So yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Divya. there it goes.
Got it.
Thank you, Divya.
Thank you.
You mentioned it, but I was going to ask you, using all this data, the thick data, should you combine it with, for example, interviews with your customers and clients? Is that...
Thick data is part...
It is a part
the qualitative
of the
data is really understanding your consumers more one-on-one.
Yeah.
And the quantitative is stats. So I would say it's a
It
good
is the combination, so you should use it.
Absolutely.
You should, yes. Yeah. Are companies working with thick data today? Or,
you mean brands or
brands
agencies?
or other companies generally?
More and more, I think, at Cannes, we are creating awareness and introducing this to our clients because it only brings value to them. And of course, when they spend the buck, they get value for that money. So it's important. And I think, pretty much all our clients are moving towards working with this kind of working process.
And what common mistakes do you see when you work with your clients?
I think one clear, I won't say a mistake, but one clear thing to remember is it's an agile process.
Yeah.
You could apply thick data and create communication, but it doesn't stop there. Thick data needs to be used again in order to listen and create more value continuously. So I would say that it's an iterative, always moving process, which is what I guess is hard to understand. Yeah.
Sophia, do we have any comments or questions? I'm just checking the room.
I have a thought here. It's about like comparing with the big data.
Yep.
Is there a similar, with big data you have a lot of information and you sometimes don't know which sort of direction you should go. Is there a similar problem or risk with thick data that
which direction?
Which direction and what information should you use and what information is relevant?
Of course. Like I said, that thick data is much about human learning, and of course we make mistakes. But the fun part is that, again, it's iterative. So you create communication, you listen, and then you tweak. So of course, human learning could lead you towards incorrect directions or inappropriate directions.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So like we've learned through this today, just try and then reflect and try again.
Absolutely. At least in my experience with agency and working with clients, I think this has worked fantastically. I think logic-driven magic brings value to both the agency and the client, and it has never failed me. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Divya.
you.
Thank you.